Okay. Oops. Alrighty, I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. At least I hope it's Facebook. Now I'm worried. Oh well. Okay. Just waiting for people to turn up. 4:30. Okay. I'm on YouTube and Facebook. Hello, Kay. I'd love to know where you're from while we're waiting. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. This is Facebook, right? Because they all look the same. Once you're on a live, they all look the same. All my social media, not YouTube. YouTube's different. But this is Facebook, right? I'm just worried. I think I might have punched in Instagram. I don't want to get them out of order. So if you could just confirm that this is Facebook, I'd appreciate it. Oh, pardon me. Oh, boy, oh boy. Okay. So I'm just asking you, I'm just confirming I'm on Facebook because I sometimes worried I've punched the wrong social media button. So I'd appreciate that if you could let me know. Also, where are you from? I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. I'd love to know what part of the world you're from. Yeah, Facebook, thanks. Yeah, I often punch in the wrong one. Thanks for that, I appreciate it. Okay, so where are you from? What part of the world? Upstate New York. Okay, I'll answer that question as soon as I introduce myself. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. Parenting coach. If you look in the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and you can look into coaching. Now, when is a good time to take a nap away? There is no good time to stop naps. Both my kids stopped regular naps at about 12 months old. They were really little. And but then they'd have accidental naps. They'd fall asleep in the car, but they just didn't need a lot of sleep. So, and some kids are 3, 4, 5 years old and still napping. So there is no perfect time. It's one of those things. But if they're not going to bed till late and they're waking up early, maybe cut out the nap. So Modesto, California, Texas, upstate New York, Chicago, Wales. Hi. Yeah, I remember the name too, Kylie Hughes. Minnesota. Kansas. This is Aisha from Australia. Hi, Aisha. New Jersey. What is it with YouTube? People keep retracting their messages. I'm always wondering, what did you have? What was so juicy that you had to retract it? I'm very curious. You know, my mom and I used to write back and forth when I lived in Australia for about 20 years. And this is before email. And we would handwrite. We did like daily journals. Everything that was going on in our lives, we wrote. And then we'd mail it about twice a week. So we were always a little bit behind. Anyway, if I had used whiteout to white something out, my mom was so curious. She would scratch it off to see what I'd whited out. It's funny because she didn't strike me as that kind of person, but she was just dying to know, what did I actually white out there? It's funny. Okay, so let's get going with your parenting questions. This is, any tips on parenting when there's a separation in 2 homes for a 3-year-old, like bedtime meltdowns? I can't really help you with that unless you're both on the same page. Then you can just follow the same routine. I do have a bedtime routine. One of my courses, it's called Bedtime Battles, if you're interested. But I can't help you parent both households if you've only got control over one. And you can only worry about your own home. You can't worry about someone else's. But hopefully the other person also takes the high road and you both get on the same page with stuff like bedtime. But other than that, I can't help you. You know, I can't help you control another adult. That comes up a lot in coaching. Okay. Okay. Just went through a half-hour tantrum. We made it. Now we're enjoying a snack. Questions. Any fast-thinking consequences during a meltdown in public? You never punish a tantrum or a meltdown. It's a lack of emotional control. It's an emotional outburst. You don't punish that. So yeah, you just let it go. You just ignore it and it'll go away eventually. Yeah, it takes a while. But yeah, you don't punish emotional meltdowns. It's like if someone cries, you don't punish them, right? It's the same thing. Okay, Davie, Florida. Hello, Davie, Florida. Oops. Okay. Sorry. Oh, got the yawns. No good reason for it. Okay. So I'm just looking at my notes. This just struck me as kind of funny. I thought this was really profound. I don't come out with a lot of profound stuff, but I thought this was really clever. I came out with it. Anyway, so this little girl, she was evidently bullying her little cousins or something, and then she complained that no one liked her. So I just came out with this. I said to the parents, you got to tell her that no one's going to like her if she's not likable. You got to be likable to be liked. She just expected to be liked, but be able to bully everyone. So I thought that was good. You've got to be likable to be liked. That's very true. What you put out, you get back, basically. So she wasn't putting out good stuff, so she wasn't getting good stuff back. But hopefully she'll connect the dots. She was just little. And then another thing I said I thought was really profound. And like I said, it hardly ever happens. So it's kind of weird the way I worded it. Probably could be worded better. But if your kids feel good around you, they're good around you. If your kids feel bad around you, they're going to be bad around you. So you got to separate the bad behavior from their identity. If they feel good about themselves when they're with you, they'll want to please you. They'll just be good. It's just the way it is. How you feel is what you put out. So if you're shaming your kids and talking about all the bad stuff they do, they're going to feel bad. They're going to keep being bad. Boy, that could have been way better said. But anyway, you get the idea? Yes, it's Facebook. Thanks. Yeah, I never know where I am half the time. I'm a new follower. My daughter's 3 years old. We were in Canada. What can I do for a successful bedtime routine? Check out my bedtime battles course. Actually, I had 2 or 3 clients today, and that was our main focus was bedtime battles. But anyway, I do have a mini course on that. It's called Bedtime Battles, and it goes from 2 to 8 years old. It's in 2 parts, how to get them in bed, but how to keep them there. It's a whole system. Getting them to bed is usually the easy part. Keeping them there is the hard part. It was unusual today with one of my clients. Their challenge was getting them to bed. But once their head hits the pillow, they fall asleep and stay asleep. So it's usually the other way around. Keeping them in bed is usually the challenge. Okay. I have a 2.5-year-old who is potty trained. I've used your program. I have a potty training, potty party course, but he is holding poop. And when he can't hold it anymore, he poops his pants. Okay. Really common. I think that was a chapter in that course. It's when they won't poop on the toilet. So there's usually 3 reasons why they won't. And it's mostly boys. And I'll tell you why in a minute. One is the splashback. Maybe they got splashback when they poop and they didn't like that. Also, they don't like that feeling of tugging and pulling, and when it's hanging there in midair, it pulls. They'd rather have the feeling of it smashed into their pants. It's warmer and it feels more secure. So they don't like that hanging feeling. And then the third one is they might just have a cold butt. They like to have a warm butt while they're pooping. Sorry, I'm so graphic. It's just potty training stuff, right? Anyway, and it's mostly boys. And the reason for that, I think, is because they have more equipment hanging out down there. And that's why, especially with the splashback. So here's what you do. You get one of those little porta potties, hike up the heat in the bathroom, and put some toilet paper in the bottom so their butt can literally feel the bottom of it. And that way it prevents the splash phobia, it prevents the hanging phobia, and also they get a warm tushy. So you can give that a go. It's really common though. What about throwing food, silver? Okay, so let's say they're throwing food. Okay, so you got a little one, they're throwing food. What I do is I pick it up, throw it away, and then whatever is left, then you just hand feed them. And they usually will go, no, because they don't want you hand feeding them. They just want to be able to throw it. But there's no way you give in to that. So you say, okay, you don't want to eat, then you're all done. Wipe them up, screaming, kicking, because they want more food, but they just threw it. Plus they won't let you hand feed, so they get nothing. Okay, so if you're willing to feed them, but they don't want it. So you say, okay, all done, put them down, let them have a fit, whatever. Let them process that. You can never avoid the fit scenes, tantrums, or meltdowns, because that is them processing, not getting their own way. Everyone wants the rainbow, but you got to go through the storm first. They've got to be able to get upset, have a meltdown. That's where all the lessons are. So anyway, you put them down, you're cleaning up, whatever. Then maybe a half hour later, you say, okay, you ready to eat again? Give them just a tiny little bit of food. If they throw that, you throw it away and then hand feed whatever's left. If they won't do that, again, do it again. When they're hungry, they'll eat, okay? And then another parent, or often parents will say, what about if they want to be hand-fed and you don't want to hand feed them? Then I say you get really slow and stupid with it. So you get some food on a spoon and go, oh, ooh, I dropped it. Oh, ooh, get real slow and stupid. Oh, did I take out the garbage? Don't make it look obvious, but just get real slow and stupid while you're hand feeding. And then they'll eventually just learn. They may as well do it themselves because you're slow and stupid. But the problem is everyone wants, how do I fix it so they never have a scene? How do I fix it so they never cry? How do I fix it so they never throw anything? You don't. You let them walk through the bad behavior, let them walk through the tantrum, and then you deal with it afterwards. You see what I'm saying? Let them make their own mistakes. You can't prevent this stuff. If you do, where's the lesson? You got to let them make these mistakes, and then you deal with it later. Well, okay. Advice on how to encourage independence. My 9-year-old constantly wants me with him for everything he does, bedtime, playtime, anything. Okay, the thing is that you're doing it. So just say, no, you're a big boy. You can do it yourself, and just don't keep doing it. You keep doing it. Maybe he's getting upset. Is he? Wants constant attention. Yeah, you're just feeding into it. I don't really know what's going on there. Like what I mean is it could be a few different reasons why he's doing that, but I don't know why you're helping him with everything. Just say, no, you're big, you can do it, and then just don't do it. Don't help him. But yeah, anyway, you might want to check out the boot camp course. That might be a good fit for you. It's all about you and your leadership. When you're a good leader for your children, they don't tend to have any dependence issues. They tend to have high self-esteem. Their behavior sorts itself out. It's all about you and your leadership. You lead, they will follow. Okay, my advice on my 7-year-old who hits me when he doesn't get his way. That's a real tell. It says, not only does he not respect you, he doesn't mind beating you up a little bit. Check out my boot camp course. That's all about you. It says he doesn't respect you. And yeah, if he's lashing out, that's kind of the next level. So yeah, check out the boot camp course, or if you want, you can look into coaching with me. You'd have to check into that. There's a wait list for that right now. But anyway, yeah. You got to work on yourself. Everyone wants to fix their kids. We're not fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. You lead, they will follow. Their behavior is just a direct result of your parenting. Look at it this way. You caused that, so you can fix it. They're just following your lead or your lack of it. What do you do when a 3-year-old throws a tantrum and clings, pulls on you while you're trying to ignore the meltdown? What he's saying is, please give me attention, and I just peel them off me and pretend I don't even see them. Yeah, just peel them off you. But don't look at them, don't talk to them. And you can wander away, sort of, just to get rid of them. Yeah, that's okay. If they're doing that at 3, it means it must work. It must bother you. Like you must show it. Because they wouldn't be doing that unless they thought it's upsetting you. Okay, how do you do no TV, media blackout when there's a sibling present all the time? So it's a 4-year-old. Okay, the one who gets media blackout gets free run of the house. The other kids go in your master bedroom with a smaller screen, and they don't need that much media. It can just be an hour or whatever. Or if they're a lot older, they can manage that themselves. But yeah, the one who has media blackout gets the run of the house, except your master bedroom. And the other siblings are usually quite happy to be on smaller screens when they know their sibling has none. The whole family suffers a little bit. That's just part of being a family, okay? What's interesting is while they've got media blackout, you do it with them. Don't tell them that ahead of time. But once they've started, say, well, look, I'm going to do it with you. There's no way you should be on your phone when a kid has media blackout. So anyway, do it with them and say, hey, do you want to play a game? No, I hate you. I hate you. Say, fine, never mind. Half hour later, you ready for that game now? You see, you're always trying to connect with them. Anyway, this is interesting. A lot of times parents have told me this. They said the other kids are in the master bedroom watching a show or something, and they hear the media blackout kid and the parents playing a game. They often end up coming out and playing with them. So it's good family time. Oh gosh, you're going to hate me. I have a 4-year-old who gets physically aggressive and lashes out whenever she gets mad. We tried teaching her coping techniques. What do you mean? Deep breaths, timeouts. I hate all that stuff. Yeah, don't do any of that. That's ludicrous. That's not for a child. How old? 4 years old. And you're doing breathing techniques? Yeah, I don't know where you learned that, but I would get rid of that. And I hate timeout. Yeah, she's having Okay, just set. Physically aggressive. Check out my boot camp course. It teaches you how to be a leader. That's a tell. It means you're not a leader. That behavior is a direct result of your parenting. It just is. So yeah, check out my boot camp course. It teaches you how to be a leader. It's 5 weeks, lots of videos and written stuff and everything. And yeah, then that won't happen. Yeah, you're doing the, yeah, no, I won't go on about it. Never mind. I hate all that stuff, all the breathing techniques. You're teaching her how to cope. You deal with it. Don't expect her to. You deal with it. That's your job, not hers. You're sort of expecting her to find her inner adult. It's very patronizing. It's that same mentality. Use your words. You know that patronizing stuff? Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Because what you're doing is you're implying that there's something wrong with her. Look in a mirror, fix up yourself, fix up your parenting, your leadership skills, and she wouldn't act like that. If you're a leader, she wouldn't act like that. Their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 years old is the direct result of your parenting. So you fix yourself, teach yourself how to be a leader, and she won't act like that. You're bringing out the worst in her, not the best in her. That's on you, not on her. Sorry, I just got to say it like it is. I recently came across your videos, and I've been tooked ever since. I'm a young mom of 4, 9-year-old, 3-year-old, and twin 1-year-olds. I'm definitely stressed all the time, but I've been trying a lot of your advice. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, it's hard work. You know, anything worthwhile is hard work, but you're changing yourself. You're not trying to change your children. You're trying to change yourself so that they are watching you. You lead, they will follow. If you're not a leader for your children at home and you send them out in the world, they're going to be very susceptible to bullying, peer pressure, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. You get the idea. All children instinctively need, crave, and want a leader. You want that to be you. So work on yourself. Sorry, I live downtown. Sorry, I'm just waiting for the siren. Believe it or not, I find downtown city noise comforting. If I'm out in the country, I get very stressed out. I like to be surrounded by activity. I don't want to be right in the middle of it, but I like it. I like it around me. It's my comfort zone. We're all so different, aren't we? What do I do with a 2-year-old that hits when he doesn't get his way? Check out my Toddlers Who Hit course. Yeah. It's one of my mini courses. It's in the link above. Can you explain why you don't like timeouts? I hear you say it often, and I'm curious why. Okay, here's what a timeout. Well, okay, so many different reasons. But anyway, let's say at work you make a mistake, and your boss says, hey, you messed that up. You're 36 years old. You go sit in the corner, nose to wall for 36 minutes, and you think about what you did. Wouldn't that be humiliating? Actually, someone said, oh, I would love that time off. So anyway, she kind of wrecked my whole point. But you get the idea. It's humiliating. It's humiliating. It's shaming. It's blaming and shaming and humiliating and it's awful. I hate it all. Anyway, with a child, when you send a child into the corner, they feel the same way. They just can't articulate that. And when you say you think about what you did, they're not thinking about what they did. You just sent them into a corner, solitary confinement, to sit in a corner and feel like absolute garbage about themselves. There's no lesson in timeout. I hate it. They'll just avoid it, whatever they did. If they do avoid it, it's for all the wrong reasons. If they do avoid the crime that they did for timeout, it's to avoid that humiliation, and I don't like to do that. So yeah, and also it's sort of like saying, I don't know what to do with you. You just go over there. You're not even worth talking to. Yeah, I can't stand. I think it's humiliating, it's dismissive, and it's shaming and blaming. I don't like it at all. So what do you do instead? Everything else I'm talking about. You can check out my boot camp course. I have some mini toddler courses, or you can look at the behavior board. That's completely free. And the top level of everything I've got is one-on-one coaching. I have a wait list for that right now. I must have a lot of salt or something. I'm so thirsty. Jeez. I feel like I've got cotton mouth. Sorry, I'm going to skip ahead here just to make sure you're here when I answer. Okay. Can I fix my leadership now with teens, or is it too late? I specialize in teenagers. They're my favorite age. It's not too late, but it's a little bit different. Between the ages of 3 and 12 years old, their behavior is a direct result of your parenting. They want to please you. They desperately need, crave, and want a leader. When they become 13 and above, teenagers, they want to become their own leaders. That's where the power struggle comes in. You got to let go of stuff. You're just there for the big stuff. You don't hang on to everything. You don't try and micromanage a teenager. The biggest mistake parents make with teenagers is they don't adjust their parenting for that age, because you're their leader. Now you want them to be able to learn how to become their own leaders, but you're there for backup. They still respect you and they don't want to disappoint you, but you don't want them to live to want to please you like you do when they're younger. And it's not that they're doing everything just to please you because they have no self-esteem. It's because you're like their mentor. You're the mirror of how they feel about themselves. You're their mirror to their own self-esteem. Okay, these are my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1 is you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2 is you negotiate as much as possible. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want for me? Reciprocity, right? You give respect to get it. Number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. Let's say they do something stupid and it's not a big deal. You just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? Or do you want to hear what I did this morning? It's okay to make mistakes. Number 4 is don't leverage the good times to talk about the bad times. I often teach parents how to connect with their teenagers. Then they use that connection time to talk about all the things they did to disappoint them the last 2 years. Then they can't figure out why they shut them out. Another siren's going by, sorry. I just don't want to close my door. I love city sounds. I know it's crazy. I just love it. Okay. Okay. I'm working. Okay, this is not something I can really help you with, really, but it comes up a lot in coaching. I am working on myself, traumatic childhood, generation curse, etc. I mess up often. How do I show them I'm a leader when I'm trying to learn how to lead my own life? Here's the thing. You start by leading your children. The reflection that you get back will help you heal. Geez, that's hard to explain. Did that make any sense? When you learn how to be a leader for your children, so in other words, let go of your own pain while you're learning this stuff, like just put it aside for now. Then when you start to see the results with your children, they will reflect on your parenting, your self-esteem. They will start to help you heal. And you'll realize you're not your parents. You're not what happened to you. Okay, you're your own person. And let your children be the reflection of who you are, not your past. Did that make any sense? Anyway, I totally get what I'm saying, but did that make any sense to you? Okay. But yeah, I can't help you with your past, but your children can. They can help heal you. Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, let your children heal you. Don't heal yourself, then fix your kids and fix your relationship. Do that first. And then all of a sudden you'll go, wait a minute. I'm not who I thought I was. I'm not a product of that. I'm a product of these beautiful children I'm raising. Okay. Let me see. I'm just reading the YouTube video comments. Okay, spanking. No, I never recommend spanking. Spanking and hitting are two things that are done because they do work in the moment, but they're going to backfire down the road. They're fear-based discipline methods, and you don't want to go with that. So yeah, don't spank, don't yell. I mean, most parents are going to yell for sure. But yeah, I teach them about other things to do. I was never yelled at as a kid growing up. I had no experience with it, and I never yelled my kids. So yeah. Yelling is something most parents do. Most of my clients yell. But yeah, you don't need to do that once you know what else to do. So. I don't know why, but my Facebook lives have been really slow lately. And Instagram and TikTok are crazy busy. But Facebook used to be too. And it's slowed down lately. I don't know what's going on. Are they not sending out the message that I'm on live? I don't know. Okay, here we go. Okay, I have twin 2-year-olds. Both hate wearing shoes, even in public. Any tips to getting them to keep the shoes on? Not really, because that's the physical stuff and it's 2 against 1. They gang up on you. But I would make sure if they're going somewhere fun, prevent them from going there until they got their shoes on. And if they take their shoes off while they're at the park, then you have to put them back in the stroller, strap them in, put their shoes on, and say, you have to keep your shoes on. So you have to keep doing it. It's really hard work, though, with 2 of them and 1 of you if you're just at the park or something. But yeah, you have to show them that there's no fun unless they got their shoes on when they need to have them on. Okay, how do you explain to your family that you're parenting different when they think fear-based parenting is right? Because, okay, well, I'm a grandmother, and I get asked this quite often. Do you give advice to your son and daughter-in-law? Why would I do that? As soon as I give advice, you know what I'm doing? I'm criticizing their parenting. Because I'm saying, there's a better way to what you're doing. If they ask me about something, but it's nothing big. Like it's just, I don't know, like how long did they sleep or whatever. But yeah, I never offer advice because then I'd be insulting them. And they're doing a great job anyway. The only thing that is kind of upsetting, and it's my son throws his daughter around a lot, like upside down. And she's only 6 months old. She's loving it. Here's me. And yeah, that's none of my business, but I'm allowed to go, but I never say anything. I just, but yeah, he throws her around. She's loving it. He's flipping her around, going like that, but that's the only thing that I have to go, I say nothing. But yeah, they were laughing at me, cringing the other day. But yeah, she loves it. But just because they're going to parent different doesn't mean it's not maybe even better than the way you parent. So that's why I would never criticize them. So here's what you say. So you got Badinsky in-laws, cousins, family, friends. Just say, when you undermine my parenting or when you insult my parenting or when you give me advice, it hurts my feelings. There's nothing they can say back to that. If they continue doing that, then they are acknowledging that they don't mind hurting your feelings. And that says a lot about who they are. So you just have to put up with them or get rid of them. If they're family, I guess there's not much you can do. But yeah, just say you hurt my feelings. What can they say to that? Oh, well, so what? I'm going to keep doing it. Makes them look bad. You're actually holding a mirror up to them. And you're forcing them. Oh, well. Oh, well. Does a chore as a consequence need to be done right away? No, it can be done when it's doable, when you're able to do it. So let's say on the behavior board, if you hit, then they have to do a chore. So you can do it like if they hit when you're out, they can't do a chore when you're out, right? So you say, when we get home, you'll be doing a chore. So yeah, you do it when you're able. Okay, I'm going to get going over to Instagram now. If you want to check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. And yeah, I'll be heading over to Instagram now if you want to join me over there. It's Bratbusters Parenting. I'm on YouTube the whole time. That's where all of my lives are saved. So thanks so much for joining me. And I'll be back again, hopefully sometime tomorrow. Bye now. Ah, sugar. So that's my swear word when I was around kids, was sugar. Okay, I'm on Instagram now. I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. They turn up real fast on Instagram. Hello. Just waiting I wait till I get about 150 in here before I get going. Okay. Welcome to my live. This is, what night is it? It's Tuesday night here in Vancouver. I don't know where it is, what time it is in your part of the world. I coach people all over the world, and I never talk about, whenever I say, when do you want our next session to be with coaching? I never say what time it is or even what day. I say, so same time next week, because sometimes they're different days and usually different times. When do you focus on attitude? Never. Never. I'll get into that in a minute. I'm just going to introduce myself. My name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you look at the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. The reason why you never deal with attitude is it's a byproduct of your lack of leadership. So if they have a bad attitude, that's a sign that you need to fix yourself. You need to fix your leadership skills, and then their attitude improves. It's just the way it is. It's just a byproduct of your lack of leadership. That's it. Why would you focus on, you should have a better attitude because I'm not a leader? You see, that's what you're saying. Plus, if you do, like, let's say you're arguing with your spouse and they say you have a bad attitude. How would that go over? How would that go over? Well, you better calm down because you're not dealing with things very well. You better watch your attitude. How would that go over with you? Yeah, it doesn't work. So anyway, but yeah, their bad attitude is a reflection of your lack of leadership. So work on your leadership skills. Check out my boot camp course if you have a 3 to 12-year-old. Hi, Washington. Is that DC or state? Pam says, I've got some awesome advice from you. Excellent. 8 a.m. Perth, Australia. I have a couple of clients in Perth right now. I never made it over to Perth. I lived in Australia for about 20 years. And Perth is like way over on the other side. Plus, it's not a place you can drive to. I guess you could if you had the right car. It is stinking hot in the middle of, it's like everyone's amassed across the eastern border. Like it's like Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, all that. And then there's Perth way across the other side. That's a long drive and nothing in between. I couldn't imagine doing that. And flying, yeah, I guess you could fly, but I was just thinking, can't imagine driving. When I grew up, we always did road trips, like going across Canada. And, but yeah, I always think of whenever I'm traveling inside of a country, I always think of driving. I don't know why. It's weird. But yeah, I never made it over to Perth. So I'm skipping ahead. Oh, shoot. I'm skipping ahead because I just want to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. Okay. What are your thoughts? I think someone just asked me this in Facebook. What are your thoughts about parents trying to undo the bad parenting they were subjected to and now raising kids while still working on past childhood trauma? Actually, it's the exact same question I just had. Don't take your past into your present. And I know it's difficult, but put it aside while you're parenting with your children. And your parenting will become who you are. Your children will reflect the new you. So you heal from parenting your children as a leader, and your relationship with them will help you heal your past. You'll realize, I'm not my parents. I'm not what happened to me. And you said, I'm going to do better. And then you just force yourself to put your past aside while you're learning how to be a leader for your children, connecting with them, having fun with them, having a great relationship with your own children. And then they will reflect the new you. You'll heal that way through your children. Use your children as your healing tools. Why do I do that? Why do I try and come up with clever stuff? It always comes off as so stupid. I remember once I used to do a lot of public speaking, and I said something so stupid. I don't know if it was on TV or on a stage somewhere. And I said something, it was so dumb I couldn't believe it. Like, I wish I could remember what it was. Well, one thing I remember saying, I was on a stage and I was speaking to a school, and I said, they commented on how I'm always making fun of myself. And I said, yeah, I love and I meant to say self-deprecating behavior, but you can imagine what I said instead. Oh, God, geez. I mess up a lot. Colorado. Hi, Colorado. Oh, son just turned 2 last week. What age can we start the behavior board? Actually, I'm working on something right now for toddlers. I can't say what it is, but there is a questionnaire coming out on Instagram. My daughter's doing it. She works with me. And yeah, I just want to know what you want to know about toddlers. But yeah, you can't start the behavior board till 3. It can be a month or 2 before. It's kind of a gray area, but by 3, they can all be on there. I'm a teacher. I teach 3-year-olds. Okay. I teach 3-year-olds due to culture. Don't know what you mean. A lot of my 3-year-olds come into not feeding themselves. What's the best way to address this with parents? Oh, I don't teach teaching at all. I don't know anything about it. I only teach parenting. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. I can't do their job at all. I wouldn't have a clue. And they struggle with parenting. Their job is business. They're taught how to do certain things a certain way. I teach parenting and that's it. It's all home-based and personal. Theirs is a business. So I do not teach teaching. I wouldn't have a clue. Establishing leadership before 3. Everything I talk about, like I get a lot of clients right now with toddlers, and I say, we're not teaching leadership so much right now. We're building a base for it. By the time they turn 3, that's when they really start to understand leadership. They are getting it though. You mean what you say and say what you mean. Like you say, okay, bedtime now, make sure you get them in bed. Okay, I'm going to change your diaper, change their diaper. Okay, you're going in the car seat, make sure they go in the car seat and play with them, play hard, play in their world. Fun is their love language. The more you have fun with them, the more likely they are to listen to you when you do start leading. But they do pick up on it. The way I know that is my ex-husband. He was a great dad, but he was more the pleaser. Like my dad was more the pleaser. I was definitely the leader. My mom was the leader. And but yeah, you could see the difference in how the kids would push around the pleaser compared to the leader, which they didn't push around. So even when they're little, like almost a baby and you're changing them, they're very different with the leader than they are with the pleaser. So they start to pick up on it, but they're still going to have wild times because they don't have self-control. Toddlers act out not because they don't understand they shouldn't, but because they don't have the self-control to not do it. But they're starting to learn, and they learn through repetition. You use consistent corrective actions, not words, not these mini therapy sessions with toddlers. That's absolutely ridiculous. They're about actions because they learn through repetition. They're not listening to you, they're watching you. And they do understand what you say, but they only learn through the physical action, through the repetition of stuff. I always have a hard time talking about that because I could go on for hours talking about the difference between how a toddler learns and an older child learns. It's very different. Like I said, it's not a lack of understanding. It's a lack of impulse control with toddlers. That's why you say they know they shouldn't hit. Why do they keep hitting? Because they're 2. They don't have self-control yet, right? They're going to keep doing it. You can help lessen it, and eventually they'll stop, and they still might do it the odd time because they're 2. They have no impulse control. They don't tend to stop and think before they act. They act, and then they might think later, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Too late. How do I get my 3-year-old to stay by me in public? So you got a runner, put a harness on them before you go out, and if they don't stay with you, clip them in. Let them have a fit, a tantrum, say, you stay with me, and if you don't, you get clipped in, and keep them clipped in for the rest of that outing. So yeah, it's going to be ugly, but it's going to teach them. That's a runner. You can't take chances with runners. You don't want them to get hit by a bus or something, right? Super clever. Did I say something clever? What was clever? What did I say? Was it about I'm just curious what you thought was. Okay. Also, check out, I don't know where it's going. I don't do my social media. My daughter does it, but she's got a questionnaire coming out. If you're the parent of a toddler, we'd like your feedback because we are building something right now for toddlers. For parents of toddlers, not for toddlers, but for parents of toddlers. So anyway, I don't know if it's up now. I don't know, but she just ran it by me. What are some bullet points on being a leader? Kind of an overview. Okay. Well, the best video I have for the way I look at leadership is the pool story. It's the very first video here on Instagram, and it's called Example of Leadership Parenting. I've pinned it. It's the very first video on Instagram. Example of Leadership Parenting. It sums it up. You deal with bad behavior, and then you focus on the good kid. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. You make children feel good about themselves, they're going to treat you like gold. Their self-esteem goes up. They have a lot of confidence. But I'm going to read my top 3 leadership qualities. Okay. This is pretty much for all listeners, for all ages, about 3 and up. Okay. You stay calm during the storms. That's number 1. So when they're having a tantrum, a fit, you stay completely calm, and you be crazy during the rainbows. When everything's great, just have fun with them. Run around the park, put underpants on your head, and chase. I used to be the panty monster every laundry day. Chase my kids around the house. The leg holes were my eye holes. So yeah, be crazy during the rainbows, and then be a great listener. Learn how to listen, to understand, and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. Okay, those are my top 3 leadership qualities. There's a million of them, but that's just, people want the bullet points, right? I get it. Do you have grandkids yet? Yes, I've got a 6-month-old granddaughter. And my son, it's my son's child. I'm trying not to smile. Yeah. It's very exciting. I love it. The only thing I don't love, and we were laughing at this the other day, is my son's tossing her around, and I'm just having, because I never get, it's none of my business, but she loves to be thrown around upside down, and he was such a rose petal, he would have hated that. Like, you couldn't do anything the least bit adventuresome with him when he was a baby, but I think that's more the mom. More adventuresome with stuff like that, but yeah, more physical, maybe she was more athletic than him. With games and that. Anyway, but yeah, she is just loving being thrown around. And my daughter-in-law says her mom's the same. We're both going, but yeah, tossing her around. Yeah, she's just loving it. And here's grandma holding her like cotton wool. Okay. Sorry, don't do continuations because it gets muddled up and I can't follow it. Just keep your questions shorter and in one little section and put the age. It just has to be in one message or whatever that's called here. It's not a message, it's a comment. I don't know. And then put down the age too. Like, there's a couple of questions here I just read out and I can't answer them because I don't know the age. Are they 6, 2, 16? The answer is different. You say never talk about a tantrum before, during, or after, but what to say when the child brings it up? Say, oh, well, most children don't bring that up. Remember when I was rotten? Most kids don't bring it up. But yeah, just say, oh, well, whatever. Like, I don't talk about it. I kind of almost snub the whole topic. I treat it like it's a non-topic. Yeah. Because I don't want to come across like I'm judging it in any way. I just want to make it look like it doesn't mean anything to me. Okay. How do you establish leadership when you've lost it with a 5-year-old? Okay, you can always start from scratch. So check out the boot camp course. That's all about you and your leadership, not about your kid. What I mean is we're not fixing kids here. We're teaching parents. So it's a 5-week course, 3 to 12 years old. So check that out. That teaches you how to be a leader. And that 5 years old is still very young. I specialize in teenagers, so it's a lot harder when they get older. How do you know when a tantrum is over? Probably when your blood pressure lowers. I don't know. You can usually tell. I get asked this a lot. What about after the tantrum and that little one wants a hug? What they're doing is they're saying, was I good? Was that good? They want sort of consoling that was a good thing. Was that a good thing? Hug me. It's not a love hug at that point. It's kind of a validation hug. So I just go like this. You're all right. Do you want to go read a book? Like, I sort of treat it like that. No, you're okay. You want to go read a book? Yeah, I don't coddle them after a tantrum. They may be crying. That's okay. We can sit and read a book. But I'm not going to coddle them afterwards because it's sort of good tantrum. That was a really good tantrum. Can you do another one? That's sort of the message they're getting. Yeah, you're okay. Do you want to read a book? Something like that. And see that? My mom was good with that. If I had a fit or anything or did something she didn't like, and then I'd say something, oh, I was all upset. She goes, you're fine. Let's go do some baking or something. And I go, oh, okay. She didn't like to wallow in that stuff. How do you stop a 2-year-old from taking off their diaper? Well, I don't know. That's sort of a physical challenge. There's all sorts of clothing you could put on them that's hard to get into. So yeah, the overalls with something at the back. I knew someone who found something like that. It was a long time ago, actually. And it was just like a jump. Well, actually, I'm wearing a jumpsuit. It was like a jumpsuit, but it did up at the back and the kid couldn't get access to it. So yeah, I'd actually look up clothes that I don't know what you'd look up, but yeah, I don't sell all that stuff. I don't know what it is, but yeah, client told me about that once. Worked like a charm. The kid was trying to get out of it and couldn't. How do you deal with separation anxiety with a 4-year-old? You don't feed it. You just say, okay, I'm going to go now. See you later. And you make it quick. Make the goodbye fast, short and sweet, and make the hello short and sweet. Hi, I'm back. Okay, let's go get dinner ready or whatever. I missed you. That's okay. You're okay. Whenever you start doing the coddling, you're condoning whatever you don't want that's around that. Whatever they're upset about or emotional about, you're actually condoning it and coddling it and validating it. So yeah, okay, see you later. And then you go short and sweet. Okay, when you say hello, hi, I'm back. Oh, I missed you. You're all right. Yeah, okay, let's go do dinner. You see, you sort of lower the emotions around it. You said I put my daughter backwards at work. You mean the clothes on, the leotard or whatever on backwards? Yeah, just put their clothes on backward. If it does up at the front, do it up at the back. How do you end media blackouts? What do you mean? When the 24 hours is up, then you can go back to normal, whatever you were doing before. I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, son just turned 3, started acting out only at preschool. Well, usually, okay, it's a few different, which way should I go with this? It's a few different ways I could talk about that. If they're only acting out at preschool, could be 2 reasons. Something is upsetting them there, or you're a pleaser parent at home. Do you give them everything they want and cater to them at home? School doesn't do that. So that could be one reason. School isn't, catering to them, giving into all their demands. Are you a pleaser parent? And then often they act out at school because of that. That could be one of them. There's a few different things. There's a few different directions I could go with that, but that's just one of them. What do you think of love languages for children? I don't know. Is that a book or something? I don't know. But I always say children's love language is fun. Humor, play, fun. That is their love language. It's not praise. Parents tend to overpraise and underplay. Praise is okay, but kids don't really care about it. Let's say you got a little 5-year-old boy and you say to this little boy, you're wonderful, you're special, you can do anything you want, you're just fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go do the dishes now. This is that kid's face. Now you say to that same kid, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? Look at the face. Play is their love language. So don't go on about words and all that. They really don't give a crap. They just want you to play with them. Be fun. Enjoy them. That's the nicest thing you can do with your children is enjoy being with them. Have fun with them in their world. The nicest thing I think anyone's ever said to me, not a lot of nice things, but one of them was teenagers. One of them said to me, I didn't like myself until I met you. Wow, that's powerful. A teenager, I didn't like myself until I met you. That's probably the nicest compliment anyone ever gave me. That's a love language. I made them like themselves. And I did it through just enjoying their company, having fun with them, connecting with them, using humor. You do it through fun, through enjoying them. Don't just say it. Don't just praise. I hate empty compliments anyway. I hate it when someone goes up to a troubled teen and says, I know you've got it in you. You can be the best you can. I know you're, but oh, geez, they're just shutting you out. But just sit and laugh with them. Have fun with them. There's a huge difference. There's a real disconnect with a lot of the way teenagers are treated. What's interesting is I get disconnect between the way they're treated and the way that they want to be treated. Anyway, they just want to be enjoyed. They just want to have fun. They just want to connect with you, right? They don't want to be told they're great and their potential and all that garbage, all that just word salad stuff. It's boring. Anyway, shoot, what was I going to say? Can't remember. Sugar is a good one too. Anyway, never mind. Or I thought it was a good one. Oh, I know. I was going to say, I get hired by a lot of teachers, principals, and child psychologists. Do you know I've never been hired by a youth worker? Not that I know of anyway. Why would I never be hired by a youth worker? They specialize in troubled teenagers. Why would they never hire me? Because if you know how to deal with troubled teenagers, you don't need my help. That is the PhD in all this. If you know how to give respect and get respect with a troubled teenager, you don't need my help. That's the PhD. How to push through all the crap and still bring out the best in them. That's a skill. That's why they never hire me, because they know how to do that. Took me a while to figure it out. It's hard. Oh, never try and outsmart a teenager. They'll always outsmart you. Yeah, I learned that really early on. I put the diaper on backwards. Oh, you put the diaper on backwards. Cute. Oh, yeah, cute. Yeah, I've heard of that too. That's cute. Could be a new teacher. Sorry, I'm scrolling ahead to make sure you're here when I answer your questions. Toilet training a nearly 3-year-old who refuses the toilet and hides and poos. Yeah, they go around behind a chair or something and then just fill their pants. Really common. Anyway, check out my potty party course. It turns it all into a big positive, all that stuff. It's messy, but it is a party, and it's just you and your kid. And it's all positive. If they make a mess, I remember once my son peed on the floor because there's no pull-ups used. And I trained my son in one day, no pull-ups, no night diapers, nothing. I do suggest you put a couple pairs of underpants on them. But anyway, I remember my son peed on the floor and he looked all shocked and like he'd never done that before. And I go, oh, mommy pees on the floor too. Like it's all positive, right? So, and it's a connecting thing too. So check out my course, Potty Party course. It's one of my mini courses in the link above. I suggest 2.5 is a good age to potty train. But if they're 3, then do it at 3. I think the oldest kid I worked with parents was 5 or 6, hadn't been potty trained yet, just refused to do it. So I can't tell you what we did. It was radical, but it worked like that. So this kid he knew how to do it. It was just he refused. So yeah, it was the parents and I talked about it a lot. Do we really go to this length and do this? And we did, and it worked like a charm. But I can't say it because if you were to do it, it's got to be set up right and everything. But yeah, I think the oldest kid, I think he was 5.5 or 6. He just refused to go on the toilet until we dealt with it. I can still remember exactly how that went. Okay, this is Happy Days in Victoria. Hi, Happy Days. My 4-year-old child is obsessed with Friends. How do I raise her not to be depending on Friends too much? Okay, I don't quite know how to answer this, but I'll just say basically you set yourself up as a leader, you'll be the most important person. She'll be turning to you, not her friends. What I mean by that is they still want their friends for fun. But if you don't want her to be too influenced by friends, is that more what you mean? When you're a leader at home, they'll always come to you and tell you everything. If you're not a leader at home and you send your kids out into the world, if you're not a leader, they're going to be very susceptible, very vulnerable to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. You get the idea? So I'm wondering if you're not a leader, that's why your child is so dependent upon friends, because they're looking for a leader. They're looking for a strong leader. Maybe they're looking for a friend in that role. Could be that. I don't know. My 3-year-old immediately screams when he doesn't like something. How can we help him with that? You don't. You change yourself. Work on your leadership skills. He screams when he doesn't like something. So I think I'm going to sneeze just a sec. Something in the air. Anyway, it says to me that you're not a leader, because if he's screaming, he's doing that to try and manipulate you, to change things. He's doing it to get a different result. So that says to me that it must work. You must sometimes give in. Just make sure you never give in. Once you've laid down the law, once you've said no to something, make sure you follow through with that. But don't look upset. Don't keep talking either. Parents tend to over-explain themselves. The more you explain, the more they complain. It makes you look weak. So, no, I said no. You're not going to have that cake right now. And they start screaming. And then if I was to say, the reason why you can't have cake, if you scream, it's just going to get worse. You look weak. You look pathetic. Yeah, just say, no cake. Okay, that's it. Then walk away. If they keep screaming, I might go like this. Like as if they're nuts. Like, it's not going to bother me. Yeah, it says it must work. Just don't let it work. What are your thoughts on pushing to learn to swim and your child isn't comfortable with submerging in the water? I must admit I forced my kids because they grew up in Australia and it's mandatory there. They learn how to swim in school. All schools teach swimming lessons there. Literally the schools do. But before that, I had them in as babies. And I just let them get upset. I let them cry. Sorry about that. But I just thought there's no way I want to risk it. So I want to make sure they knew how to save themselves from a very young age. So yeah, I was right there. They were scared of the water, but they weren't afraid of they still trusted me enough to know that they're going to survive, but there was some fear there. But I did all that blowing in their face, submerging them. I just did it. Yeah. I keep hearing a child's character is developed by 3. Well, their basic personality, I've heard, happens in the first 7 years, and it's all done through observation. So if you're a leader, if you're really fair and reasonable, you play with them a lot, you make them feel good about themselves, then I think they're going to develop pretty decent character. But yeah, don't worry too much about that. Just be a good person yourself. They're watching you. They're not listening to you. It's all done through observation. There's just some big study. Some scientists said there was some big study done recently on this. And they said they used to think it was 5 years, then they thought it was younger, but they always kind of stop at 7. But they said it's the first 7 years, and all of their personality is developed through observation, not through listening, but through watching, which I agree with totally. Like, it's interesting. Parents will often say, well, I don't want you to ever effing swear or smoke, and they'll be swearing and smoking, but they're going to swear and smoke because you are. So you see what I mean? Like, they're not listening to you, they're watching you. If you yell, they're going to yell. If you disrespect other people, they're going to disrespect other people. If you get a parking ticket and argue with the poor parking person, the ticket person, your kids are going to be like that. So yeah, they're watching you. My mom always told this story about, we had a neighbor. I can still remember her name, but I won't say it. And she used to say to my mom, I don't know why the F my kids are always effing swearing. She so oblivious to what she just said. She said it all the time. Mom said all the neighbors used to laugh. Like, well, doesn't she see that she could talk about lack of self-awareness? It's funny. I keep telling them, don't effing swear. I remember as a kid, she was the first person I ever heard swear, this neighbor. As a kid, I'd never heard it before. My parents didn't swear, but she couldn't figure out why her kids swore. It's funny. Okay. Toddlers that run away. Those are runners. There's 4 things they're born to do or they're never going to do. One is running, one is climbing, one is tantrums, and one is hitting. It's not your fault that they start doing those things, but you can train them out of that. So the runners, what I do is I put a harness on them before we go out. And if they start to take off, I clip them in. And I said, because you don't run. So you're going to have to stay with me now and keep them on that leash for the rest of that outing. It's going to be ugly, but you got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Next time you go out, they're a lot less likely to run. So still make sure you do the next time too. Make sure you do it again, but leave them clipped in for the whole outing. And you might want to go somewhere where it doesn't really matter, where you don't have to be somewhere because they're going to have a scene. So be prepared for these scenes. Behind every fit, scene, meltdown, and tantrum is a lesson. Don't try and avoid them. Walk right into them. It's like that 8-year-old kid who said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And he was filthy looking when he said it. And I said, bring it on. And he never did. I have no fear of a fit, scene, meltdown, or tantrum. That's my superpower. The lack of fear. Bring it on. They use it to control you. Can't do it with me. They learn that. I tried to buy your boot camp, but the pay method is only PayPal, and I'm not from the US. People all over the world use PayPal. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's all I use in my business right now. It's all I've ever used since 2007. I may be switching it up one day, but no immediate plans for that. So sorry about that. I do have someone who couldn't hire me through coaching. So they got their friend to do it and then they paid them back. So I don't know. I'm not trying to make it easy for you to buy. Like, what I mean is I don't want to force you to ask a friend to do it, but that's what someone told me they did. But yeah, right now that's all I use. I have to keep myself streamlined with certain things, and that's all I do. Oops, I got to go over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. Thanks so much for joining me here. I really do appreciate it. What am I at now? I think I hit 450,000 about 3 weeks ago here on Where am I? On Instagram. Yeah, and I've only been on here less than a year. So I'm just really great. I'm just bowled over by that. I can't even fathom that many people. Anyway, I really do appreciate that. I really believe in the message I'm sending out there. And the reason why I believe in it is I know I'm helping people. Maybe not everybody. If I'm not for you, go off and, follow someone else. But I'm here to help you. So if I'm helping you, that just makes my whole day. Anyway, I'm going over to TikTok now. If you're not going to join me, check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. Happy parenting. Sorry, I just did something I have to tell my daughter. My daughter works with me and I just did something. I thought I better tell her what I did. I'm not sure I should have done it. I hit some button. She does all my social media. Oh, good. Okay. Whew, did it right. Okay. Oh, okay. This is kind of funny, actually. So I'll just wait. I'll answer that, Ricky, in a minute, because I happen to like that question. Okay, I'm just waiting for people to turn up. Okay, let me see here. Okay, we got enough people. I'm going to get going. Hi, my name's Lisa. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. And I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old, full of videos and all sorts of written stuff. Or you can look into coaching one-on-one with me. Anyway, someone on YouTube here. I'm on YouTube. That's where all my lives are saved, YouTube. And I go from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok. I've been doing lives on TikTok pretty much every day for 2 years now. But I've only been on Facebook and Instagram since I think around last December. So that's kind of new. But yeah, I've been doing these for a couple of years now. I love doing lives. Okay, I love this question. Ricky Moss on YouTube said, what do you do when kids 4, 5, 6 complain they're bored? Okay, as long as you're meeting their needs and managing their wants, this is what you do. So when I say meeting their needs, make sure they got enough stuff to do, right? Do a toy rotation system. I always say do a toy rotation system so they're never bored. But basically, you don't have all their toys out in front of them. Just make sure you're rotating them. Anyway, one time my son was about 5, and he'd been at a friend's house. And he would have heard this at the friend's because he wouldn't have just come up with it. So he comes home and he says to me, I'm bored, in that snotty tone. I'd never heard that tone from him before. I'm bored, that whiny, snotty tone. And I went like this. And he went, never mind, never mind. So I'd never heard him talk like that. So I went like that and I go, oh, is my precious angel bored? It's exactly what my mother would have done. Is my precious little angel bored? And he went, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I said, oh, yes, you said you were bored, sweetheart. I can't handle that. He knew he was in for it at that point. So I took his hand and I said, come with mommy because I don't want you to be bored. We went in the laundry room. I filled up a bucket with soapy water and I gave him a mop. He was never bored again. Anyway, 5 years later, the exact same thing happened with my daughter. And she came home from a friend's house. She didn't say it quite as snotty, but she goes, I'm bored. And my son, his ears perked up and I looked at her like this and she went, never mind, I'm not bored. Handed her the mop and she was never bored again. So yeah, it's a manipulative tactic to get you to jump, get you to feel guilty. I had none of the guilt. Okay, where are you located? Just curious. I'm in Vancouver. None of my clients are, but I am. Vancouver, Canada. If we ever said I'm bored, we had to scrub toilets. Yeah, because I knew I was meeting my kids' needs and managing their wants. There's nothing wrong with them being bored for a while. It's not my job to juggle and entertain you all the time. It's not my job. Figure it out. You got books, you got toys. You can sit, you can go out back and play for a while. They can learn how to entertain themselves. 5-year-old screams when he feels offended or gets his feelings hurt from a friend instead of talking. Now, does he ever hurt anyone else's feelings? I'm wondering. I kind of need to know that. And I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, so I'll look out for it. So does he hurt other people's feelings? Is he Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Perfect? Or, you know what I mean? Yes, but he's very sweet. Okay, he's very sweet. Okay, you're just gonna have to toughen him up and say, you know what? Sometimes people are mean. I told my kids that. I said, and I made sure their home life was pretty darn good. We had a really happy home life. But I said, you know, at home you're treated like you're special and precious, because I love being with my kids. And I said, but you got to go out and you got to earn that in the world. You got to find your way. You're going to come up against bullies. You're going to come up against all sorts of stuff. You just have to weed your way through that and find other nice kids to play with. So I kind of toughened them up. I didn't try and protect them from that stuff at all. But yeah, that's life. But I just made sure their home life, we had a lot of fun. It was a fun home life. It's cute. He said, I love you. Trying to get my husband to listen to you. Oftentimes it's the husband. Some of my clients, the husband found me and were watching me. Or a lot of mothers find me, and then they get their kids to watch me, their kids who are parents, right? So yeah, word of mouth. It's great. How to train my 3-year-old to stay in bed all night. I have a whole course on that. It's called Bedtime Battles. It's in 2 parts. How to get them in bed. That's the easy part. How to keep them there. That's the hard part. It's ugly, but it's usually one night of hell. But then it's, you know, the worse that first night is, the less likely they are to ever get up again. Now, I have a story I always tell with that, but in coaching, I don't want to tell it here. I don't want to scare you. But anyway, yeah, check out, it's in the link above. It's called Bedtime Battles. It's one of my mini courses. By the way, I don't know where else she's putting it, but on Instagram, I have a questionnaire. I'm doing something for parents of toddlers right now, working on it. And it's a questionnaire. What questions do you have? What do you want help with? And so if you want to do that, I don't know where else she put it. She might have just put, my daughter does all that stuff. I don't even ask. She did run it by me. She doesn't run much by me, but she ran that by me. I said, how does this look? It looks great. Sorry, it's just it keeps scrolling quickly, and I was trying to read a couple of questions, then it scrolls up on me. I didn't hold it. Oh, my kids saw me watching you and said I shouldn't. Oh, that's funny. One of my favorite stories was this client who I saw them every Friday morning while we were working together. And I just was so excited every Friday morning to hear the next story from this kid. The first session we had, they were telling me how bright their 8-year-old little girl was. And everyone wants to tell me how bright their kids are. That's fine. You know, they're all smart, right? So anyway, then I thought, after this next story, I thought she's pretty smart. The next week we got together and they said, you won't believe what she did. They had the behavior board up and they explained they're working with this lady, right? And you know, this is going to happen. This behavior board is going to happen. You know what she did? She's 8 years old. You know what she said to her parents? She said, you guys are wonderful parents. You don't need that lady. And she pulled down the behavior board. And the parents said, yes, we do. And they put it back up. I've never heard of that before. She buttered up her parents to get rid of me. Wow, that was good. She came up with a few funnies. That was one of my favorite stories. You're wonderful parents. You don't need that lady. Isn't that great? She's only 8. That was pretty clever. How do you feel about allowances? Okay, I have tons of videos on that. Here's what I did with my kids. I called it Mom's Bank, and it was a book. It was a ledger book, so it had columns for date, description, debit, credit, balance. And then I put plus, minus, equals for the kids to see. Only I could do the banking, and I had 2 kids. It was a book. I started one in the front and one in the back. And then when they met in the middle, I started another book. I think over the years, I went through 3 books. God, I wish I'd kept those things. I remember when I moved into this apartment, I threw them out. Oh, so mad at myself. Anyway, I should have kept them because there was all sorts of funny things in there and things over the years. Anyway, I believe that you should never pay children for chores or anything. You live here, you contribute. But all children deserve to learn how to manage and respect money. So this is why I did allowance. I don't remember how much I gave them, maybe their age every week or half their age every week. But every Saturday morning I'd say, okay, we're going to do Mom's Bank. So I'd sit down and I could write in it, pen on paper, and I'm writing down, okay, here's the date and it's allowance. And then for every $100, they would get 10% interest. So if they got $300, they get $30 interest. They started to get really excited about saving, but I only paid interest on the same amount once. So if they did spend some money, and spending is a very specific way of doing that, they couldn't just take some money out and buy whatever they wanted. We discussed it. Is that a responsible thing to buy? And I didn't want them buying candy. I bought all their treats when we went out, if they even got treats. I wasn't into all that stuff. But yeah, they couldn't just waste their money on junk. Anyway, should I tell the Pokemon story? I might do that. Anyway, so over the years, they got really good at saving, and they loved watching this happen, right? So what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, when they got to $1,000, I reverted back to $10 on each, like 10% interest on each 100. So when they got to 1,100, they didn't get 110 because it would have just kept going, right? They got $10 on 1,100. On $1,300, they got $30. So it went back to that. But and then we discussed it. We were always discussing, and look how much you've got. So if you decided that you wanted to buy that PlayStation game, it would take you 20 weeks to get back to where you were or something. We were always discussing money. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a cute story. My son was about 8 years old, and Pokemon cards had just been invented. So they turned up at the school one day, and I thought, oh, this is going to be trouble. I hate stuff I hate throwing money away like that. It drove me nuts. So anyway, I said to my son, I said, look, these Pokemon cards are a big deal right now. All of his friends are really into it. And I said, I'll tell you what. And I had the book in my hand. And I said, I got an idea. I said, I don't want you to have any Pokemon cards. If you're given any, I want you to give them away. Don't buy any, nothing. I don't want you to have any Pokemon cards. And 1 year from today, I'll explain why. And I had the bank in the thing in my hand. And I said to him, are you in? He didn't have to do it. I said, are you in? And he looked intrigued. And he says, yeah. So anyway, all of his friends are trading Pokemon cards, and my son's just sitting there. I remember he said, one of his friends said, how come you're not buying any Pokemon cards? And he says, oh, my mom's got a plan or something. And they knew me. So I went, oh, okay. I was always scheming with something. So anyway, a year later, I said, okay, it's been 1 year. Let's have a seat. So I sat him down and I talked to the other moms, and I said, how much money do you think that your kids and you would spend on these Pokemon cards in the last year? And it turned out to be about $600. They got them as gifts. All their birthday money, Christmas money went to these Pokemon cards. So anyway, about $600. So I said to my son, you saved $600 by that's how much money you saved by not getting Pokemon cards. So as an incentive, as a gift to you or reward for doing that, I'm going to give you $300 just for not having Pokemon cards. And he was like, wow. And I said, plus I'm only going to deposit 150, and I'm going to take the other 150 and buy the 2 latest video games or PlayStation games that just came out. And so and then I said, and invite your friends over to play with them. So anyway, he had a friend or his friends over, and they said, whoa, you just got these new games. And they said, how come? It's not your birthday. And he goes, oh, that's my Pokemon card money. So anyway, that was a really good lesson for him. He learned how to save, and it's called delayed gratification. Save up for something a bit more special rather than just wasting your money every single day on crap. So anyway, that's how I used it. I used it on lots of different things throughout the years. It's another leadership skill, right? Okay, you don't have to do that. That's just an extra. Like, most of my clients do that though. Not the Pokemon card stuff, but they do the allowance. Okay, let me see. By the way, when I'm doing lives, it's mostly talking about discipline. When I'm coaching, it's not at all. It's about connecting with your kids. And it's just that I'm reacting to your questions when I do lives, right? But really, parenting, the way I teach it, like I teach leadership, it's about connecting with your children. Discipline is a tiny part of it. You deal with bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. Where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. You want to increase your child's self-esteem. The whole point in being a leader is that your kids like themselves when they're with you. You want them to feel good about themselves, not bad. Parents tend to they talk so much about all the bad behavior. You are shaming and blaming and cutting down your children when you do that. You're lowering their self-esteem. You're turning the bad behavior into their identity. I'll say it like it is. Yeah, what you did was absolutely rotten. But anyway, you're a great kid, but what you did was rotten. I don't mix words. I just say it like it is. Yeah, that was rotten. Here's your consequence. Okay, you want to go to the park? Bad behavior is separate from who they are. Don't mix it up. Parents do that all the time. I see that constantly. And then we had a big discussion about what he did wrong that day. Why? The shaming and blaming. It's bullying. Don't do it. Hand out a consequence. There you go. Okay, now it's all over. You got media blackout. Do you want to go to the park? You got media blackout for 24 hours. Want to go for a swim? The punishment's already been laid out. It's already done. Don't shame and blame and continue to punish. They're not in the doghouse. Parents do this all the time. It's not that they're trying to hurt their children. They just don't realize that they're hurting their children. Yeah, don't do the shaming and blaming. What do you do when they continue to do what you punish them for? Okay, so let's say it's no hitting. That's their rule. So they hit in the morning and you say, okay, so you have to do a chore within 15 minutes. So they do the chore. Then they hit again. Say, okay, you have to do a chore within 15 minutes. If they hit a third time, I would say, I'll tell you what, that's the third time you hit today. So media blackout for 24 hours starts now. That's what I would do. And during that 24 hours, you're going to say, what if they keep hitting? Just say, that's why you've got media blackout. They're still learning a lesson. They're going to keep the bad behavior going. But in those 24 hours, they've just learned a big lesson. Right? They're going to keep hitting. Don't keep punishing. They're already being punished. Chances are they'll hit a lot less in future. But in those 24 hours, it's a little bit of a free go. They can kind of hit during that because you're not going to keep punishing. Don't tell them that. But yeah, they are learning something. What if you don't allow media? Well, lots of my clients don't have any media, so they can't do 24-hour media blackout. There must be something that they'd like or play with every single day that you can take away. If not, you have to invent leverage. So you say, we were going to go out for ice cream tonight. So because you did that today and you didn't do the chore, so your dad's going to take the other kids out and you're staying home with me. You're not getting ice cream. I don't like doing that, but sometimes you have to invent leverage. So you were never going to go out for ice cream, but you have to reward the other kids for not being naughty. Yeah, it's called inventing leverage. It can get quite complicated. Don't start with that, though. That's 7-year-old son whines whenever he asks for something. That means it must work. Past the age of 4, they only do what works. So whining must actually get results, or else there's no way he'd be doing it. I would mimic the whining. I'd say, if you ask, I want this, say, I'm not even going to answer you, because that's whining. But if you say, may I please have, I will answer you, but the answer still may be no. Okay, do you understand? He's 7. He can understand that. But that's not fair. That's whatever. You got to get that whatever. So if he just keeps arguing with you, whatever. You've already explained it. He's 7. He can get that. So you're not going to answer any whining, but if he asks nice, the answer still may be no. But it's such a tell. It means it wears you. It means it has to work. There's no way that doesn't work sometimes. Or there's no way he would do it. So yeah, you've trained him to do it, basically. Remember, we're never fixing kids. They're just a result of you. They're a result of your parenting. That's it. Between the ages of 3 and 12, their behavior is a direct result of your parenting. You're fixing yourself, not your children. I teach parenting, not childrening, or teenagering, or toddlering. I teach parenting. You lead, they will follow. I've worked with hundreds of toddlers, kids, teenagers, troubled teens, delinquent teenagers. I managed to get respect with all of them. Was it me or them? Did I just get them all on a good day, all those hundreds of kids? Or was it me? Was it my leadership? Work on yourself. You are the only person you can control anyway. And that's the bottom line in life. You can only control yourself. So work on yourself. You lead, they will follow. It's a natural instinct for children to want to follow a leader. They're very drawn to leaders. Have you ever had a mentor, a teacher, a coach that you look up to? How do you treat that person? Don't you want to please them? Right? That's what this is all about. You make them feel good about themselves. You bring out the best in them. They like themselves when they're with you. That's what leadership does. Whiny kids don't like themselves. It's a sign of low self-esteem. That's what you're doing to your child, low self-esteem. You're allowing him to act like that and feel bad about himself. Work on yourself. Check out my boot camp course. It's all about you and your leadership. Okay. Toddler laughing when you're disciplining. So just keep doing what you're doing. I don't quite know what you mean by this. I have 4 teenage boys. They respect me and have a special bond, but is it normal for them to listen? So they don't listen or they do listen? They listen to dad more than me. Oh, okay. I'd have to assess the situation. I don't know. I don't know. No, I was very much the leader. Doesn't matter if it's the mom or the dad. My mom was the leader. And like my dad was the pleaser. My ex-husband was the pleaser. But it works because if so long as you're a united front, it works. But the leader does tend to get a bit more respect. So it's the leadership, not the sex of the parent. Parent-child interaction therapy. Is that a question? I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. Just play with them. Interaction therapy. I have no idea what you're talking about. How do I stop my son coming into our bed in the middle of the night? He's so quiet we don't hear him. Put an alarm on his door. So when he opens up his door, the alarm goes. Yeah, put an alarm on the door. I think a client today, we just discussed that. Yeah, put an alarm on their door. All sorts of stuff. Motion sensors. Best tips on how to be a leader. I'll read out my top 3 leadership qualities. This is for all ages, 3 and above. You stay calm during the storms. So when you're disciplining, when they're upset and everything, you stay completely calm. Don't get upset, okay? Stay calm during the storms. When you're disciplining, it's a business transaction. There's no emotions that are appropriate. It's just all calm. And then number 2 is be crazy during the rainbows. When everything's great, you can be crazy, fun, goofy, put underpants on your head, chase the kids around the house. Just be fun, so calm during the storms, crazy during the rainbows, and be a great listener. You listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will tune you out. I can remember I was really little and I would ask my mom, I'd say, Mommy, I got someone's being mean to me at school or whatever. What should I do? She always answered the same way. She said, I don't know. You're a smart girl. You could figure it out. And then we'd sit down and talk about it. I thought I was figuring out all my own problems. She was feeding me information, but she never told me what to do. Not ever. She always said, I don't know. You're a smart girl. You can figure it out. And then we talk and talk and talk, and I'd come up with the answer. Well, she probably would, but it was just sort of, I think I remember trying this. And that's what I did with my kids. I never told them what to do. I encouraged them to be problem solvers. And that builds your relationship too. They're going to come and tell you everything when you are a good listener. They just can't help themselves because you're a safe place to land. You're not going to tell them what to do. I remember when my kids were teenagers, and they told me pretty much everything. And I can remember going, oh, okay. And then I'd go in my room like this. Oh my God. You know what I'm talking about. You don't always want to hear it, but they tell you everything. My mom said years later that I'd talk to her for ages, tell her everything. And then she'd go in her room and go, oh my God. But I never saw that face. Okay, just joined. Sorry I'm late. What's the live about tonight? It's about, I don't know. There's no theme. It's just parenting. Okay, I never have a theme. Okay, actually, I've got to get going. Let me see here. Okay, so check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I think my daughter's also sent a questionnaire out, or she will be soon, on Instagram. If you have toddlers, we'd love your feedback on what you want from me. What questions do you have about toddlers? What subjects would you like me to cover? I've got something coming up, and I can't announce it yet, but it's about toddlers. Anyway, okay, thanks so much for joining me, and happy parenting. Bye now.